Brian Roisentul here. I'm the host of the Fit Growth Machine podcast, where I talk with top leaders in the fitness industry. And before we introduce today's guest, let me tell you that this episode is brought to you by BSR Digital. At BSR Digital, we help fitness brands that want to scale their business to the next level through Facebook, Instagram, and Google Ads. BSR Digital knows that most e commerce brands and also those who want to do lead gen want to grow their sales and leads, right? But they lack a solid plan and professional team to help them succeed. That's why BSR Digital offers strategic plans, implementation, optimization, and account audits to help more than 1,000 e-commerce brands like yours grow their businesses and surpass their competitors. To learn more, visit www.bsrdigital.com and you can email them at hello@bsrdigital.com. Okay, so today I have Glenn Dawson here, who is an awesome personal trainer and co-owner of ResetU Fitness. Glenn, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me, Brian. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, pleasure. So before we begin, I want to give a big thank you to Ian Garlic from Authentic Web for making the intro and making this possible. Okay, so Glenn, awesome to have you here. Why don't you tell the audience who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Brian. My name is Glenn Dawson. I'm the owner of ResetU Fitness, and what we focus on is resetting people back to when they didn't have pain and their metabolism functioned correctly. Most people that we come in contact have failed numerous times at other fitness programs before, um, and they come to ResetU and they get results. And most of the time, it's results that they didn't even think were possible. But because we use specificity and scientifically backed programs, we're able to dial in their program so much that people have seen doctors and chiropractors and everything. We can get rid of their pain, and people that have seen every single nutritional specialist, we can get rid of their excess body fat.
That's great. Yeah, that's great to hear. And can I ask you, how did you get started?
So I was a gym trainer way back in the day, and not a very good one. Admittedly, I was an ex-athlete that moved into training, and all I did was athletic movements. So it didn't really matter which client I took on, whether it was a 70-year-old lady, a 15-year-old overweight kid. It didn't matter. They all got the same programming, and if it didn't work, they were out of luck. And through that, I noticed a lot of them weren't getting results. So then I began a journey of just learning and getting these people results, getting knowledge any way that I could, and just getting better and literally putting it ownership on the client's results, making sure that I did everything in my power to get them results. Training with physical therapists, getting different certifications, going back to school, all those things you could think of. And then with my best friend, after getting burned at this large corporation gym where we were being overworked, underpaid, the typical story where you're in tears and everything, we started ResetU Fitness, with the idea that every single person that pays for results should get the results. So all of our programs are guaranteed. We can't get your results. We'll even help you refer out to the person that can. But yeah, that's basically how it got started. And then, fast forward 8 years of struggling in a business and perfecting what you give to the clients and everything else, making it better. Now, we have a solid business that helps a lot of people.
Wow, no, I love it. Thanks for that. And could you please walk the audience through how it works? If someone wants to go to Reset You and hire you guys, how can you help them differently from your competitors, for example, or other companies out there?
So at every level, our biggest thing is just resetting years of damage. So either damage to your hormones that control your metabolism from eating processed foods or high sugary diet or anything like that. Our biggest thing is just a reset protocol. So the first 30 days, just reset your gut, reset the inflammation, reset all of it. And then to get rid of pain, we're going to reset your muscular imbalances. So the dominant muscles that pull the joint out of alignment and cause the friction and cause the pain, instead of just putting it back into alignment, like a chiropractor would do, and then the pain comes back because the dominant muscle pulls it right back out. We focus on all of it at once. So at each level in our program, whether it's our lowest price programs who working with us one-on-one, we do an overhead squat test and other tests as well to diagnose muscular imbalances and create foam rolling, the stretching, the workouts all around that individual's body in that snapshot in time. It's going to change week to week. And then the nutrition program, once we've got a baseline where all their hormones are reset, we bring back in foods, test those foods, test their carbohydrates based on their blood sugar, and adjust macronutrients so they can keep lowering their body fat as they go and don't hit the plateau, and even go over their mindset too. Because there's trauma to your body over years of time that cause you to not look the way you want or move the way you want. And there's trauma to your mind too, where you have to relearn what it's like to be prosperous or successful. Think about somebody who has lower back pain. They might kneel instead of just bending over because they don't want to put strain on their lower back. And that pattern of kneeling every single time because they're afraid of that means that they're also not confident in that movement. So we have to rewire their brain too as well, make them confident in those new patterns and develop habits that are going to make them successful. So there's not a lot of willpower that is included in changing your life.
Wow. And so please correct me if I'm wrong, but it's like having multiple disciplines in one program, right? You get
Yeah.
nutrition and you get many other things. So it's like an all-in-one solution for those in pain, right?
Correct. Yeah. So if you're in pain and it keeps coming back and you can't figure it out, we reset that. If
Okay.
you keep losing weight and it keeps coming back, we reset that. And if you have patterns of destructive, activities or habits, or, you know, like you're just breaking all of your commitments to yourself, well, we reset that too as well. So basically, in a big summation, we reset you.
Okay. No, I like the concept of resetting. I need some resetting from time to time. But uh, talking about probably who is this for? I mean, is this for everyone or for people who practice sports or high performers or people who go to gym, or it could be for elderly people too, or who is this for ideally?
So ideally, if they could do a squat, we have a squat test. If you could squat, even if it's like 3 inches, we can work with you. There are people that can't. If you're in a wheelchair, obviously our program isn't meant for you. We would refer that person out to somebody else.
Yeah.
But most of the time, our ideal client is somebody who's been in shape before, and now the stuff that was working before to get them in shape is no longer working, and they're very frustrated because everything they know to do that's given them the reward of getting them in shape before is no longer working, and they feel busted and broken down. But when in all reality, it's just they need to change their plan for the person they are now, and you can still get those same results. So we'll take on high performers who just want to get better, or they put all their effort into their business and their body has taken a toll. We'll reset that body as well, and then obviously their business does a lot better, because if you're the main component of your business and you're doing better, chances are your business does better. To athletes who used to be athletic or no longer athletic and have a hitch in their stride or something wrong, we reset them. Or just like we were talking earlier about having kids. We take on a ton of moms that their hormones are different now. They've had kids, and the same stuff that used to work when they were in college to get skinny doesn't work anymore. Uh, and to give them back their confidence in a sustainable program is basically just resetting their whole life.
Wow. Yeah. So you talk about mindset, mind confidence, all those stuff. And it is said that mind and body are pretty connected, right? Would you agree? And in that case, how do you see that their minds or mindset are transformed through this? Because you're actually changing lives because and transforming them because someone in pain, as you said, it could be a business person, it could be someone practicing sports professionally or or amateur. But in the end, if you are in pain, you cannot actually do a lot of stuff or you don't enjoy actually a lot of activities and it changes your life somehow. So Yeah, what have you seen in these stories that are behind the clients that you have?
They all have limitations. So whether it's they've gained weight that they're unhappy with or they're in pain, they have limitations on what they're going to do with their body. It could be as simple as not going on the lake trip because you don't feel confident in your swimsuit, or not going hiking because you're afraid that your back isn't going to sustain, or being afraid that when you're on this flight, your sciatica is going to flare up. Either way, you're cutting things out of your life, and we give them back that freedom. Uh, like you said, the mindset's a big part. Most of the people that come to ResetU, they failed numerous times at their programs beforehand. They put in a lot of effort, and that creates this deep-seated fear of failure. And it makes sense. Like if you say you were hypothetically cheated on by your girlfriend, and she cheated on you 6, 7 times, you put a lot of effort into the relationship and just kept taking her back, it would make sense that you don't take her back, right? So for these people that have failed at their pain relief programs or their weight loss programs, it makes sense that they don't want to try another program because they've been burned so many other times. So they have this learned habit of, if I try a new program, it's going to fail. And I'm going to blame myself. And in all reality, if they implemented it properly, it wasn't their fault. It was the program's fault. It wasn't specific to them enough and their problems or their hormones or their muscular imbalances. And so at ResetU, we really take ownership of those things. If you're doing the plan, you should get results. And it shouldn't be your fault if you don't. And if you're having problem implementing the plan, that's why we do all the mindset training as well, so that you understand how easy it is. The number one reason why people quit a program is because of overwhelm. So we literally start the program slower than we could, because if we just overwhelm them, like you said, we have so many facets in this program. If we just dumped it all on them at once, they would fail. They'd get overwhelmed, and maybe like 1% of them would be successful. But our goal is to get everybody results, to get everybody success. So
Yeah,
we take the 80-20 approach for every single week, and we only give them things they absolutely need to do to be successful. And then once that is solidified into a habit, whether it's their mindset work, whether it's altering the foods that they're eating, whether it's foam rolling and stretching and mobility work, or doing a different type of workout with isometric tempos to stabilize their joints, whatever it is. Once that habit is solidified, then it doesn't take away from their willpower anymore. It's automated. And automated habits don't take willpower. Like, it doesn't take willpower for you to brush your teeth every day. It's easy for you. It'd be harder for you not to. Once we have that, then we can stack another habit on top that's just as successful, give them another reward of them seeing better results or feeling better, stronger. Like we were talking about earlier, being able to bend over without pain, or go on an airplane without fear of sciatica flaring up. All those things give them the positive reward to instill those habits long term.
that's great. And in everyone's personal life and business, there's a huge difference from the plan and the execution. So in this case, you put together a plan for them and you execute, of course, but they need to do their part as well, right? So how do you hold them accountable?
So we have a lot of different levers for accountability, and it depends on like what level, right? Like obviously, the more that you're paying us, the more time you're going to get from us personally. So you're going to have a lot higher level of accountability. But we have that overhead squat test every single week. We do their weight every single week. If they can give us body fat percentage in this crazy pandemic world, we'll take their body fat percentage as well and dial in their program every single week. On top of that, we're also keeping track of what foam rolling they do, stretching, everything. So we're literally tracking their progress. And what gets measured gets results. As soon as they fall off or they don't get results, we have a saying, like 1 week of bad results doesn't mean that your plan is wrong. It could just be a lagging indicator. You could have not lost weight because you consumed too much water the day before or something. But 2 weeks of not seeing progress, whether it's pain relief or weight loss, that means there's something wrong with your plan. And then we get each client on the individual call and break down their program with them and figure out what was missing or what was incorrectly done, fix it, and then get them back on track so we can guarantee that they get results.
Yeah, great. And you mentioned the pandemic. How do you think that has impacted their performance? I mean, people probably not exercising as much. And yeah, how do you think that? Well, I don't know if you help them in person or remotely. Well, I know for some things in person, right? That cannot be done remotely, but no, only all remote.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So that's great. I thought that some things were in person. So that's great. And how do you think that the pandemic impacted? Because, for example, I personally started going to the nutritionist again because he said, hey, I gained a lot of weight during the pandemic, but because the lack of activity, right? So these people having pain and being at home, uh, what has changed from the world we used to know to this one?
For what?
Well, for the results, do you notice
Yeah.
that the results got affected by the pandemic? That people probably were more anxious and eating more, exercising less, and or how do you think that, or how did you see that that affected?
I feel like the pandemic just 3x everyone's all like goals as it was. They're already the habits that they already had, whether they're helpful or destructive. It put those in a microscope and then enlarge those. The clients that we have, they're in an environment where we program them from the very beginning. Something like it took me a long time to get into our programs. Like, well, I'm a very big science nerdy guy who's like, hey, this is scientifically based. It's going to work. It took me a long time to realize how do I get people to easily do this and then make it so that it's simple and it shows them quick results so they have a reward system built in. And within our program, they're literally flipping a switch from scarcity mindset to abundant mindset, from looking and complaining about all the things that are wrong to looking for opportunities in the first couple of weeks. And once that happens, everything becomes an opportunity. Instead of being stuck at home and not being able to go outside, you're at home with all this extra time to spend with your kids. Instead of, not being able to go to the gym, now you get to focus on your mobility training more often. Instead of not being able to go to your favorite restaurant, guess what? Like now you get to learn how to cook properly. And I always say there's no one you'll ever see over the age of 30 that has a six pack that doesn't know how to cook properly. So it's one of the biggest habits you can incorporate in your life. So with all of our clients, they all made a decision. They got to that point where the pain was enough, where they said, I can't do this anymore. Or they saw that it just keeps getting worse. And now with the pandemic, it's going to get accelerated and get worse at a higher, faster rate. When they made that decision to reach out to ResetU, that switch was flipped and they started looking for opportunities. Just a little bit, right? Just a little bit to start with. And then we had to nurture that and then allow them to see more opportunities, more opportunities, more opportunities. So I'm very, very grateful that the pandemic happened for the sole fact that ResetU got to be there for so many people and help them through all the mental problems that were going on in their lives. And they had a place where they could be happy, content, and then take care of their body as well, instead of complaining about a nagging shoulder or your lower back or gaining the COVID-19. These people were changing their lives. We had people lose 50 pounds during the pandemic. And the power
Wow.
to do that during a pandemic, when there's everyone else is making excuses and you do the opposite, it literally changed these people's mindset to, I can do this instead of, there's no way I can do this.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's all about mindset. And I think one way or another, this pandemic helped everyone to do a reset in their lives, right? They needed to reinvent. Some people lost their job. Some people actually felt the need to leave their job and open their own business. Some people changed careers. It changed many people's lives. I personally got to be at home with the kids. I have baby twins and see them grow and spend more time with them. So, as you said, people could learn how to cook and many other things. So it's about mindset. I recently had a guest on the podcast. I'll give him a shout out, Julio Cesar Fuentes. He actually uh, qualified for the Olympians in 2008, and he's great about mindset. In fact, he said, "Brian, do you know what my favorite day of the week is?" And he said, "Monday." And I said, "No, that's like the easy answer." And he said, "No, I'll tell you why. Monday is the day that I'm most rested after the weekend." And I said, that makes sense. And he said, on Friday, I'm exhausted. Yeah, the weekend comes, but I'm exhausted on Friday. I'm wishing the weekend comes, but Monday, I start fresh. And I said, it makes sense. And ever since, I got that with me. It's like, yeah, Monday. So it's positive mindset. It's not about what you can't do anymore. It's about exploring the new opportunities that you have to actually do. So I love that. And how do you think that apply to businesses? Because we have discussed that a little, but what do you see differently from people who actually, some people have a positive mindset. That's natural. That's okay. But many other people don't. What do you see they need the most when they come to you? What do you see their biggest challenges are? And even they could be business people or not, but yeah, what do you see there?
So before we talk about that, I wanted to say like my favorite day of the work week is Monday too. Not for the
Wow.
same reasons though. It's because I only take off one day. I give myself Sunday, and sometimes I break that rule. But I promise my wife I will take off Sunday unless it's an emergency, right? Um, and it's because after a day of rest, I'm chomping at the bit to get back to work. I want to do what I want to work on ResetU. It's like taking away my toy for a day. I don't get to play with it. I want to do it again. And then Monday is the day everyone else goes back to work too. And it's weird because like if you work Saturday and you're always working and you're an entrepreneur and you put in, 15-hour days all the time, you really don't turn off ever. So Monday is the opportunity for everyone to go back to work and hit the ground running. And I've just spent 24 hours not working. So I agree. Like Monday is my favorite day of the week too. I fucking love Mondays. It's the best day of the week. Every single day.
Wow.
Always
This
excited on Mondays.
the second person I meet that loves Monday. So
Yeah, I
there's gotta
love
be
it, man.
something there I need to explore. But no, you,
Yeah.
you gave me a second reason to love Mondays. Yeah.
So to answer your question, the entrepreneurs or high performers that come to me, they usually have both. They have chronic pain and they've gained weight where they're not happy about it. The mindset stuff comes in with just knowing that they can fit this into their schedule and it's not going to lower their income or their profits. And they think that it's a working on themselves is going to take away time, which is going to equally mean that they're going to lose money. But that's a busted equation. If you're, say, 10 is the highest level that you can reach of human performance, and you're Brian at a 10 out of 10, so you're superhuman Brian, you're more focused, more energetic, you have zero pain, and you're functioning at the highest level you possibly could. Well, that 10 out of 10 is going to function better than like a 6 out of 10. Say you have chronic neck pain and you can't think about anything besides your neck pain every 5 minutes, or you're overweight, or you lack energy, or your sex drive is low, and you haven't gotten laid in a super long time because of it, or you have a lot of self-doubt, self-confidence issues, or your gut's messed up, and your microbiome is causing you to lower your memory recall and have lack of focus. If you're a 6 out of 10, you're not going to produce the same as a 10 out of 10. You're not going to enjoy life the same as a 10 out of 10. And literally, if you were to go up against yourself at a 10 out of 10 when you're a 6 out of 10, the 10 out of 10 would kick your ass every single time, every single month, month in, month out. The 10 out of 10 version of yourself is going to make more money in the exact same amount of time. So then it becomes, how do you become a 10 out of 10? And I like to think of it like a race car driver analogy. If you are the smartest guy in your high school and you go to college and you're one of the smartest guys in college, you start your own business, you're an entrepreneur, a high performer, you go and you're the CEO of a big company. Once you get to the high level of competition, everyone's smart. They got there because they're all smart too. And everyone's using their smart brain to get to that level of competition. Now, if you're a race car driver, same thing. Everyone that gets to that high level of performance race car driving has a great brain for racing. They can all do the same thing you can. They can pick up images and compute them quickly, and they can make quick moves, and they have, they can lower their heart rate in stressful situations. They're all top of the line race car drivers. So the only thing that's going to really separate them at that point where they're all super, 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 super smart is their car. The same thing with your body. If you're just as smart as everybody else around you, and you look in a room, everyone is the same intelligence level as you, or maybe they're more intelligent, The only thing that's going to separate you is how efficient you can be. And if your body is better than them, it's more efficient and allows you to be more powerful, then you're going to win more races. You're going to be the one that has the higher performing ads. You're going to be the one that has the higher performing business. You're going to be the one that continually keeps breaking through new ROI barriers. You're going to change a lot because of you changing your one self. You're the most important part of your business, most likely, most important part of your family, most likely. And if all of your employees or subordinates and all of your family members are reliant on you, then it should be a no-brainer that you optimize you.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, 100%. Before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask you, is there any big transformation story in one of your clients that you remember for a specific reason that you would like to share?
Honestly, we have so many. It's like really tough to do, like to pick one, because I've worked with Eye and Garlic as well, and so we've captured literally hundreds of case stories where people have told their story of how they beat diabetes, or they got rid of an autoimmune disorder, or they had chronic back pain for years and doctor told them they couldn't walk and now they squat over 300 pounds. Like, we have so many. To pick one, I would say it was a friend of mine's father, and she wanted to pay for him to get results. And he was overweight. I think he was 230 when he first started working with us, had chronic back pain, had forward shoulder roll, had neck pain, all this stuff during the pandemic. And it's very, very few and far between that somebody who has something paid for them actually does it. You usually see those people not get results. And this gentleman's name is Peter. I'm not going to say the full name just so I can protect him, but he had most of the training paid for by his daughter, and he agreed to pay $50 a month, I think. I don't remember, but it was a small amount, right? But for him, it was enough so we had skin in the game. And then this gentleman, within like 3 weeks, was balanced out. He had no more back pain. His posture was better, everything. And he started losing weight. His goal originally was to get to 185. We got to 185 and he was a different man. He was completely different. He had no neck pain. His labs came back. Not only that, but the same gentleman who was self-conscious about wearing tight-fitting clothes or anything like that would now walk around showing his arms off in like a tank top. He's still super confident. It literally changed his life. And the best part for me was that he got to play with his granddaughter and know that he's going to be around to see her walk down the aisle someday. And he's going to be able to walk that aisle with her. And he's not going to have any problems in his hips or his lower back. And on top of that, we bring back in carbohydrates, test his carbohydrates. He's at a caloric surplus. Now he weighs 175. He lost 10 pounds without me, eating a ton of carbohydrates and just living a perfect lifestyle. The coolest part isn't the rest of the story, that he overcame all these things and that he was working out 6 days a week and already lowered his calories to 1,200 and couldn't lose weight before ResetU. The coolest part is that, yeah, he lost 50 pounds at ResetU. And yeah, he got rid of all of these chronic, pain points on his body. He was stronger and he's going to be there for his daughter. But after he left ResetU, during that same pandemic, he lost 10 pounds on his own. And that means more to me than anything, because now he's self-sustaining. He doesn't need us. He can get all the results on his own. Instead of giving him a fish, we taught him to fish. And that makes me extremely proud to know that I had that big of an impact on a man's life, that he can be there for his granddaughter, his great-granddaughter, whatever else comes in his way. And he knows how to fix these problems on his own and can even get results on his own.
Wow, that's a great story. And I hear what you say, and that I love it. Like, the most important thing to you is that they don't need you anymore, because they can, follow their own path, and they are, again, accountable. They can actually, no, that's amazing. I love the story. Thanks for sharing that. And where does the audience need to go if they want to learn more about what you do?
So if you go to ResetU Fitness, we have a ton of free stuff that you can go get there. Like, you can get a free training. You may even be able to get on a free call with one of us and have us build your plan. We have a ton of trainers on staff. The big thing I want you to do, if you do want to reset your body, go to resetufitness.com, check us out. But on top of that, if you got value from this podcast at all, if this podcast gave you any sort of value, I want you to go to Fit Growth Machine, wherever you listen to it, and give stars and a rating. That's literally Brian's way of knowing that he's doing a good job. That's paying him back. That's like tipping your waiter. Everyone tips their waiter. Every single person, unless you're one of those weirdos who doesn't tip your waiter because you're not grateful for the service you got, maybe you wouldn't want to leave a review. But if you are the type of person that gets good service at a nice dinner and tips your waiter, then you should also be the same person that hears a great podcast by someone who puts in a lot of hours into his podcast and leaves an amazing review. It takes you less than a minute, maybe 57 seconds to do this whole process, but it would mean the world to Brian and myself.
Wow. Thanks for that. Yeah, you didn't need to do that. I love it. Thank you for that. And yeah, it was a pleasure to talk to you, to meet you. And yeah, thank you. And yeah, thanks for being at the show.
Yeah, man. Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, anytime.